Friends, how many of you, you don't have to raise your hand, but I just want you to say it in your mind. How many of you have been to an annual conference on a Thursday morning? You don't have to raise your hand. And if you've been in an annual conference, usually on Thursday morning, that's when they have what they call ordination. You remember that? And you remember that there's two kinds of ordination. One is for those who are deacons who have not quite finished their 4 years of training yet to become an itinerant elder, which means a deacon can only do certain things in the church under the auspices or under the care of the pastor. In other words, the pastor has to give them permission. If someone wants them to come and preach, they go preach. They cannot do the what do you call it, the wine. They can't consecrate the elements. You know, there's certain things that they cannot do. We're talking about those who are first 2 years now. They can pass it out, but they cannot consecrate it, and you're absolutely right. So they have to call someone who has 4 years. Now, how many of you notice this? That when they get ready to ordain the person who has completed the 4 years to become an itinerant elder, itinerant means move. Move. Itinerant means they are willing to go wherever the bishop sends them. Now, many of you know that I used to be. Oh my goodness, maybe that, but I used to be a somewhat of a rebellious young man, you know, and and I would always either start trouble or get in trouble, whatever the case may be, and I used to say something that I quit saying, but I'm gonna tell you what I used to say. That on Friday night when they give the appointments, I used to say, well, tonight they're going to either give appointments or disappointments. Oh, you already know, huh? Or disappointments. Because there have been times when pastors have received what is called an appointment, a disappointment to them. But I changed my thinking about that because whatever God gives you, because there are people who've gone into these 25-member churches and made 25,000 or 2,500 membership. You know, it depends on what you're going there for. So I wanted to say that. But the bottom line is all of the preachers or the bishop has on its robe, and then when they get ready to ordain them and they're around the altar, each one gets 7 elders, 7 people who have gone through all 4 years of training and have been deemed by the Board of Examiners as excellent people to serve the churches. They have 7 people to lay hands on their head, you know, on their head, okay? 7. Now, and this is supposed to be a spiritual thing because you have 7 anointings going through hands into your head. All right? You follow me? Okay, all right. That's one of the process. That's what we normally do in the AME church. Preparing preachers. When you prepare them, they go through 4 years of training. Now, and then after they complete their 4 years of training, then they become an itinerant elder. Once they become an itinerant elder, then they're ready to go ahead and serve a church. Now, that does not mean a person who's a deacon cannot serve a church. They can supply a church, but they can't, be the official pastor sent to them by the bishop. Okay, they can supply, but not be sent as a, okay, let's move forward from there. Key verse. The priesthood shall be theirs by a perpetual ordinance. You shall then ordain Aaron and what? His sons. So This is ordination time in the life of the church, ordination time. So what he's saying is, and in the Bible, those persons who were considered pastors or preachers or priests were from the tribe of Levi. The 12 sons, one was named Levi, and all of his sons would become pastors or preachers or whatever the case may be. Let's do the prayer. Heavenly Father, we come before you with a heart full of gratitude. Thank you for the countless blessings you have poured into our lives. We are forever grateful for the gift of life itself, for the love and support of family and friends, and for your constant presence that guides us through each day. Thank you for the strength you provided in times of struggle and for the joy you bring in moments of peace. We thank you for your grace that covers our imperfections, for your wisdom that helps us to grow, and for your love that never fades. With a thankful heart, we give all praise and glory to you. In Jesus' name, amen. Now, I thought about Miss Demetrius when I did this. You did. Let's bake a cake. Let's bake a cake. Now, Miss Demetrius, I want you to take a look at all the elements in there. Those are eggs, flour, sugar, butter. What else do I have down here? Is that salt? Yeah, there's a lot of salt in it. But those other three elements, what are the other three elements might be, Miss Puryear? Baking soda. What else, Miss? Is that cinnamon, the nutmeg, and all that stuff? I don't know. Okay, vanilla flavor. Okay, so basically, we have the basic rudiments or the basic items that we're going to need to what? Bake this cake. All right? So what God is saying to the people in this lesson today, that there are certain things that a priest must go through before they can come and be a part of rendering service to the people. There are certain elements that they're going to have to show on the outside. All right? Now, when you look at the lesson itself, it's very descriptive. And so what I'm going to do is, I'm a visual person. And because I'm a visual person, I'm going to show you today all of these items, all right? Let's take a look at this. We're going to talk today about a bull and a what? Ram. Now, y'all know the difference between a bull and a ram. I ain't have to show you that, isn't it, right? What Rita say? Rita, what you saying? Oh. Oh, okay. All right, hold it. I'm sorry. I should have let it stay right back there where it was. That's my business. I asked for it, and I got it. All right? So I'm going to have to learn to keep your mouth closed, Charlie. Nah, you asked for it, and you got it. You ain't got no business going there. All right, so that's a bull, and the other one is a what? Ram. On my right, he's a ram, and on my left, it's a bull. Now, I want you to look at the horns of the bull because we're going to talk about horns on a bull, okay? You're going to hear about that. So I want y'all to see what I'm talking about. You see the horns on the what? Ram as well. And sometimes those horns grow, and they grow into the flesh of the ram. You have to cut the horns back some so it won't grow into the flesh. You see how it curls around, and it may curl around and go into the flesh. So, but that's another story. Now, unleavened bread and what? Cake. Now, I've never baked a flat cake before. I've never had one to fall. Oh yeah. Many times. Never had one to fall, because I was taught well. You let it alone, they call it. No, you leave it alone and let it do its thing. Ma'am. I don't open the door at all. There's a window. Turn on the light and do one of those numbers. Yeah, I never had one to fall. But anyway, unleavened bread is basically bread without any yeast, anything that'll cause the bread to rise. It's going to be flat. Now, when we go to, we don't have that anymore. We used to get tickets to go to Love Feast. Love Feast is usually held on Wednesday night, and that's when the ladies of the church, the mothers of the church, the deaconesses maybe, would bake this unleavened bread that looks something similar to what you see up there, except it is flat, totally flat. And then they would bring it, and then you would stand in line, and you take a piece of mine, I'll take a piece of yours, and you take a piece of mine, I'll take a piece of yours, until it's all gone, all right? You remember the Love Feast, we used to do that? At the conclusion of the Love Feast, because everybody will touch your bread, it goes in a basket. What do you do with it after it goes in the basket? Huh? No. Remember now it's consecrated. What do you do with it? No, you don't want to eat it after everybody done touched it. Everybody's hands all over. And we're talking about unleavened bread now. Has no real, of course, it's just like the bread that we take now, don't have it. No. Okay, good question, good answer. Answer over here says you bury it. Bury it. You bury it. Put it in the ground. Bury it. Huh? Yes. Somebody has the responsibility of taking it after it has been handed, put it in a thing, and you bury it. That's somebody's responsibility. But we're going to talk about in this, I'm going to show you a movie, a 7-minute movie, and it's going to talk about unleavened bread and cake. So I want you to see what they're talking about, and I'm going to show you all the things that you'll find in the tabernacle. The next thing is, all of this we're preparing for consecration of Aaron, and he has 4 sons. 4 sons that we're going to have who are going to be a part of the consecration. Now let's look at the furniture that's found in the tabernacle. All right, now on the upper right-hand side, okay, this is called the table where the showbread, the bread that I just showed you, that's where it sits in the tabernacle. Now on the left-hand side is the, what is that called? The, you remember when the priest was in there burning the incense? He burns incense from that place there. Incense is being burned from there. Just below the incense is called a basin. Now, I've had this experience, but perhaps many of you who has not had as many birthdays as my babysitter here, you would probably never have done this before. You probably have never seen a big wash tub where you can actually get in it and take a bath. She know what I'm talking about. A tin tub. See, you can wash your feet, but actually some of it, in some instances, if you're young enough, you can get in there and take a bath. All right? But the basin is also used for cleansing. I'm not saying these grown folks are getting there taking a bath at the tabernacle, but it's for cleansing. All right? Now, the next item across from the basin is the altar of burnt offerings. This is where they're going to take the bull that you saw, cut him up, and burn him. And the sweet aroma from the bull will go up, and it will be pleasing to the nostrils of God. Some of you are looking at me, oh my gosh, have you ever smelled hair burn? Yeah. It may not be pleasing in your nostrils. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Now, let's go below where they do the burnt offering. Of course, that's the menorah. Remember I told you that this is a one-piece item. It is not an add-on. It's a one-piece item, so whenever they craft this item, it's crafted out of one material that cuts all the pieces in there. And, of course, you know the other item is the Ark of the Covenant. You remember the three things that was in the Ark of the Covenant? Aaron's rod that was budding, some incense, and one other thing I can't remember anyway. There's three things that was in. So all of those 6 items that you see, one of them was in the Holy of Holies. The other one was in the holy place, which is just before the Holy of Holies. And then the burnt offering stuff is usually on the outside of the tent. All right? Does that make sense? Okay. Now, then when you go to ordination, you see the bishop wears his purple. In the AME church, most bishops, all bishops wear purple. And everybody else refrain from wearing purple because we realize that that is the color for bishops, all right? So we kind of remain. But I'm not saying folks don't wear purple, though. You understand what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is we reserve that for the bishop's office. The very thing on the top is called a turban. A turban. You're going to hear them talk about a turban in the movie, but I want you to see what we're talking about. And then when you take a look, the other piece is called a tunic, and you see where the red line is? The word there is a breastplate. And below that is called the ephod, and the last word on that is called a robe. So all of those things point to various things that are on the priest. You will hear that the priest only wears the turban. The other ones will wear a different kind of hat. Can I say something else you're going to hear? Now, if you got a weak stomach, you might want to leave now because blood sacrifice, they would take the blood, and you're going to hear this. And when they spray it, if it gets on the robes of the 4 sons, it's appropriate. You'll hear about it. You'll hear about it. Okay, let's go to the next slide here. Can't see me get there. Ms. Mills, can you help me get to the next slide? Can you help me get to the... Yes, sir. Will it, is it, it won't go? It froze on me? Okay. So that's the priest, they call it vestments, not investments, but vestments. When you see a preacher wearing a robe, and when you see a deaconess wearing the sash around their necks, it's called a vestment. All right, here we go. Is that arrow in place? The arrow is not there, is it? Oh, gosh. Oh, boy. Is it play? It's supposed to be a YouTube thing, and if it's not, then, the arrow's not there where it can play. Oh, okay. Then can you find it on YouTube for me? It's called. You can Exodus 29 video, and see if you can find that video. You know what I forgot to do when I forgot to put enable content on there. I forgot to. Okay. But I got to show the video in order for them to better understand what's happening. I tell you what, can we just shut it down and then bring it back up and hit enable? Oh, okay, well, just go to YouTube then. We'll go to YouTube, and that's all we need to see anyway, is click on YouTube, yeah, and type in Type in Exodus 29 and type in video behind it. And you should see the one that I have. Huh? It's not connected to the Wi-Fi? Huh? Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. I'm sorry about that, but when we talk about ordinations, we're talking about making sure. How many of you remember Bishop McKinley Young? And when he would come in, he would have this cane-looking thing that looks like a shepherd's staff.
What's the name of it?
Exodus 29 video. Okay, hopefully we can get it taken care of. I apologize, but I forgot you have to type in, you have to click on enable in order for you to play the video from the PowerPoint, and I didn't get a chance to do that. So we good, Mr. Mims? Okay, all right. So in this, you're going to see you're going to hear all kinds of things about what takes place. You're going to hear about Moses being given instructions by God to, okay, here we go. From the beginning, we have sound. Oh, okay. Okay.